So I already filmed this video once, and I realized that I had it on mirror mode so that you guys couldn't actually see it. So if I film it like this, you guys should be able to see it. I got this book the other day when I was out thrifting. I collect children's books, which was great when my kids were little, but I don't even know if they want to have children. And so I've got a lot of children's books, and I keep buying them when I find one that's particularly adorable. I love this brand, this little elf brand. I love elves, and I love this brand because it's little elf books. Anyway, the famous book Elf books. I had a lot of these when I was little, and my kids have a lot of these, and Golden Books is another one. Richard Scarry is one of my favorite illustrators. There's so many, though. I have so many. And I have a lot of anthologies of children's books and children's illustrators. These just fire up my imagination, and my brain is very childlike and fantasy based. And so when I'm sitting on a riverbank and I'm seeing like a little opening in the rocks across, I'm thinking about things like this. I'm thinking about like who lives there and just kind of imagining it. I've always wanted to write a children's book. When I usually draw things that are very, I draw like little mailboxes with little flowers, and just little scenes like that is something that I draw anyway. So I thought this would be fun to have. So I got this for like $4 at the antique store the other day. And one thing that I love about it is that all of the little animals in it are more realistic versions of animals. Now, I love Dr. Seuss, and I love, all of those books, and I love like Peanuts and the Bernstein Bears, and like all of it, all of the classic books. But I always love it when the animals look like animals, but then they have like little outfits on, like Peter Rabbit. Like Beatrice Potter is one of my favorites because everything is really natural and realistic. Like the food looks like food, the flowers look like flowers, the flowers are real flowers. The cat, the ducks, the whatever, they all look like little animals. And then they have like little coats on. But you can tell like what kind of plant is in each picture. Like, that like that's a very realistic mailbox, and the little mailman outfit, and then the morning glories growing up the side of the mailbox. And anyway, it's a delightful story. I did actually read it, and it is about like a lonely person on the route, and then he kind of creates this whole little scenario where they have this little party at her house, and kind of brings everybody on his mail route together so that they're friends. And one thing that I think is really cool is that the letters that they all receive after, as they become friends and they're all communicating with each other, they're all in cursive. And I don't know if you are parents, or if you have kids that are under the age of 30-ish, 25 or 30, they probably don't know cursive. My daughter knows cursive, my oldest daughter, because I made her we wanted her to learn like a classical education, and we wanted her to do like the Westminster Shorter Catechism, and so she had cursive writing books so that she could learn the catechism and do the book with the cursive writing. So she would write the questions for the catechism in cursive, and she learned cursive that way. And she can read cursive writing, which most kids her age cannot read cursive writing. My youngest struggles to read cursive writing. They both kind of struggle to read it, but they can read it for the most part. They don't get every word, but they can read most of it. there are people that I used to work with that are under the age of 25, and if I wrote them a cursive note with instructions on something at my old job, they would not be able to read it. I could have written it in like another language. That's how foreign it is to them to read cursive. Anyway, so these are all in cursive, which I thought was really cute. And I don't know, I love it. It's just whimsical. They're all playing croquet. It's all of these like really cozy, fun. I mean, even just the concept of getting letters in the mail and taking an afternoon to play croquet. It's all very cozy and warm and fun, and I love it. I would love to write children's books. I would love to have the talent of some of these people. This one is illustrated by, I think it's Elizabeth Webb. I would love to have that kind of talent to illustrate a children's book. Whenever I draw, these are the little things that I draw, or I try to draw. They're not this good. But I do have fun drawing them, and I always made up stories for my daughters when they were younger, especially like on long car rides. We had a whole scenario with our dog where we would pretend to call our dog on like speakerphone or whatever, and I would be driving and they'd be in the back seat, and I would make it ring, and then I would pretend he answered, and then they would start talking to him, and then I would answer in his voice. And we would pretend he had this crazy friend named Timmy that was coming over to visit. He wasn't supposed to visit when we weren't home, but he would always show up, and he would always get in trouble, and they would go on adventures. So it took their mind off, usually like the car ride, wherever we were going. It made them not miss the dog as much because they were on the phone with him. Little things like that. It really fostered their imaginations. They're both very creative individuals now. We would drive by this little island in a lake, and we drive by it on the way to my sister's house, and it was like a little island out in the middle of the lake, and it had like one tree on it. And my oldest daughter asked me about it one day, and I told her that there was a little elf that lived there, and he washed all of his laundry in the lake, and then he would hang it up to dry on the tree. And I said, can you see the little clothesline out there? I mean, there was no clothesline, but you know what I'm saying. So I would tell the little clothesline, and they would, they'd be looking, and then the next time we would drive by, they'd be like, oh, the little elf's out there, and he must have, or he's not out there, he must have taken his boat, to the shore to get some supplies, or he must have, whatever. And it's just fun stuff where they would just use their imagination. And so anyway, I know it's corny, but that's me. And I love children's books. I collect them, and I have way too many of them, but I've got them and I love them. Actually, I have another one. Hold on. While I've got your attention, I got this book at Goodwill about 3 or 4 years ago, The Snow Queen by Hans Christian Andersen, and it's fabulous. And if I'm not feeling well, if I'm in a bad mood, if I just need to feel better about everything, looking at this book takes me into a whole world that is just magical. And I don't know, I guess I never grew up. I still watch all the Rankin and Bass claymation and animated Christmas specials, Easter specials, Jack Frost. I don't know. Anyway, so I collect these little books. I have quite a few. I have all of my childhood books. I have my children's childhood books, and they're all at my house, except for the ones that I've purchased since I was in the house. But they're all there, and I always check on them constantly. Whenever they say like, oh, we're going to get rid of a bunch of stuff or whatever, I'm like, none of the children's books. Don't get rid of any of the children's books. I want all the books. Like there's a lot of them. Yeah, I don't care. I want them all of them. And Anyway, so that's it. I just wanted to share that with you guys. My weird thrifting. You guys are going to think I'm crazy, but that's who I am. So I love you guys. Take care.